Attention, please. Attention, please. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the Executive Mansion Press. Let me say good morning, and it is my pleasing duty to welcome you to the office of the Press Secretary for our regular press briefing presidential update. Today we have available His Excellency the Honorable Isaac Sulukabe, Press Secretary to the President, who is going to address you today. Mr. Press Secretary to the Press.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you, members of the Fourth Estate. I'm very happy to be here today, and also more happier to see you for the past almost 2 months now. We have been on break, but in spite of that, you have been giving your support to this office, providing coverage to the presidency and directly to my office as a whole. I bring you greetings from the president. He's very happy with your level of performance, most especially during the celebration of his 54th birth anniversary. You were there at most of the programs, informing the people as to what he was doing. And so he's very happy. For those of you who were there, who were with him in prayer, and who wish him a pleasant birthday greetings to him. As usual, the president began his week with Thanksgiving. He went to the Fogakojirade Family Fellowship, where he was grateful to meet the congregation there, to talk to them and talk to Liberians as for the essence of peace. The president was very blunt and clear that in the absence of peace, we cannot have development, and we need to develop our country. Sometimes we travel to parts of our country, and when we try to think that Liberia is more than 100 years or even more than 20 years, you don't want to believe that. So he believed that for us to make progress as a nation, we need peace, because with peace, our children will be able to go to school. With peace, we'll be able to build our Lake Congo. With peace, we'll be able to develop our country. So the president is continuing his developmental drive, working for the people of Liberia, things he has thought to do. He's doing those things, and he's progressing with them. So basically, on his birthday, he was blessed by God and gave him the power and strength to switch on symbolically the lights project from Pinsville all the way to what you call the Ducal Palace Hotel. So the first initial phase was from the ERW Junction towards the 72nd Boulevard end, and that process will continue. We hope to have the streets lighted from now to by November 29th. We'll be reaching Ducal Palace by then. We hope nothing happens like COVID did. Stall a lot of developmental process, and we hope this time around we will be doing just fine. A couple of things to bring you up to speed with when it comes to development, what the president is doing or will be doing, is that on the 9th, the famous Gorbachev market will be dedicated. That market structure, we are told, will be handed over to the Pinsville City Corporation. They are going to manage it until the leadership party within the LMA is resolved. We are told they will be going to elections come February. So when that is done, since it's in the proximity of Pinsville, the Pinsville City Corporation will take over until otherwise ordered. On the 14th, this Thursday, the president will be touring the 14th military city. That's the houses being constructed on the National Housing Authority project. The president will be inspecting those units that are up on Thursday, and we hope he can be around to be a part of history making, trying to beautify that place with nice structure, places where some of our people who cannot afford homes or who are struggling to get dwelling place will be living, or will have access to rent it when the time comes. On Tuesday, that's next week, all hands and Rose leaves to Douala Market, where the president will officially break ground for the construction of that market on Tuesday, the 13th of October. On the 16th, we'll be traveling to Ganta, where the president will be dedicating the market there in Ganta. And on the 20th of this month, 2 bridges in Grand Cape County that were erected will be dedicated. We hope nothing happened to stall this because the president would love to see his people, not just to dedicate those bridges, but to be able to step out of Monrovia and go to other parts of the country. So these are the rundowns of things the president will be doing. We have talked about next week the road construction, the Rabat Highway, RRA Highway, the Rabat International Highway project will resume next week. We are told also the process of constructing or renovating school dormitory at the Lango Lepe will also resume then. The president continued to shake up and re-energize his government as well as himself by making more appointments in government. We witnessed over the past week, on his birthday to be specific, a lot of persons were appointed, including 7 females to positions in government. That justifies that he is fully a feminist in chief. It's not just about having people on the ballot ticket, but he also tried to pursue people, to encourage people to step up to leadership, whether it's elected position or not. But where he sees that you are competent and maybe you do not have that ambition to go for public office, though elected offices, he brings to the fore to support his government. So continue with those appointments today. He's appointed several persons to government that I can bring you up to speed with. Those appointed, we had the Deputy Minister of Commerce, Deputy Minister for Commerce and Industry, Josh D. Wallow. Thomas Goba was appointed also as Deputy Minister for Industry. Councillor Charles Gibson has been nominated to serve as Minister of Labor, to be assisted on Trade Union Affairs by Zoe Mensah, another female. Moses Colley moved to the Liberia Civil Aviation Authority. This appointment take immediate effect pending confirmation by the Liberian Senate where applicable. And few persons that were nominated recently in government have resumed their office. I'm told today these Kemenya will be taking office today formally. Yesterday we had the former Minister of Information resuming office at the Liberia Maritime Authority, to be specific. So reshuffle continues, and basically we'll take a few questions. But like I said, the president remains committed to doing the work of the people of Liberia. He's not going to be distracted. He's not going to relent. Those things he's able to do, he's going to do them until his tenure expires. Another thing the president wants us to take keen interest in is to use our various platforms in our community to be able to inform our people of the upcoming and pending referendum. It is important for the growth of our country, because if you don't have some of these propositions approved, it will stop a lot of things. They are all meant for the good of our country. So our people should not just be talking about the May 10 elections, but we should also be telling our people those propositions that are there. We talk about dual citizenship, we talk about reduction of president terms. I don't want anybody to liken this or link it with what happened in New York, Cote d'Ivoire, or again. We are not trying to amend our constitution to increase the tenure of the president. Rather is to reduce the tenure of the president, which of course should be the welcome idea, and that our children or our brothers and sisters who sought refuge in other countries and because of other conditions they took our citizenship, they will have the opportunity, if they choose to come back to Mama Liberia, to come. We have expertise, we have brains over there, but other things are stopping from coming because we do not support our constitution. For now, does not support dual citizenship. So let's use our broad platform to educate our people. Let's continue to preach peace, because one of the things the president talked about, he will claim that Liberia was established or founded on a Christian principle, and then you wake up in the morning, you see people in cars, people in gutters and other places. I think it does not represent us as a people. So we have to preach peace. It's a welcoming development that investigation is on the way, and like other people in the government have said, the agenda of the president say, all those who have information that would lead to solving this crisis, to finding the doer, or to establishing clear-cut fact as to what really happened. Their information will be kept as confidential, and they will never be declassified. And so you can come up and give those information to security investigating the matter. Otherwise, Alex, I think we will turn over the stage to you to manage, so that we can take a few questions.
Thank you, Mr. Press Secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question, just call us your name and the institution you represent.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
my name is Jasper Carr, report for the Agents France Press. Mr. Secretary, I want to find out, is the president satisfied with all of his workforce? Because I see the reshuffle is just reshuffling the ministers and other agencies. Is he satisfied with all of them, not firing anybody?
Well, I don't know whether you have pleasure in dismissing people in your entity, but what matters most is people are called to serve, and they are serving. The president is somebody who is very insatiable. So if you want to use the word satisfied, I would say no, because he wants people to redouble their efforts. So yes, he might be doing well now, but he wants you to do more. This is what I mean, he's insatiable. So if you take a keen notice, it doesn't mean that everybody have been recycled. We have some new faces, new people coming on board. If you care, because I don't know where Charles Gibson was working. I don't even know where Dr. Sawyer, former interim president wife, was working. I don't know where Zoe Mensa was working in government. So people have been moved. Normally, let me link it to soccer, since most of us watch football. Somebody see the game being played at halftime or sometime in the game. The coach change position of players. Sometimes you move to the left back to be able to support the attacking option, so that when you're defending, you come back. So normally when reshuffle is being done, is to energize, reawaken the spirit of the team. Probably it feels like because of your experience and other things, you can be more proactive on the other side, you can do better, and you move into that side. When he feels that you cannot do that at all, or you're not performing up to expectation, he takes you off and come and sit on the bench. So if you notice, it's not just about reshuffle. You also have new persons coming on board, and old people being used to different positions because of their expertise, or the president feels in that capacity they might do much better than where they were. Or probably somebody move people around because you want certain things to be straight in a certain place, and he sees that in you.
Yeah, my name is Yuguni Masali. I report for Sky Communications Incorporated. I'm concerned about the voucher market you just spoke about, that is going to be turned over to the Paisley city mayor to control. And which, of course, last Friday we spoke with the president of the LMA, and she said there was a meeting scheduled for them to meet and discuss as to how the voucher market is going to be run. And she said they have the authority to run market. But you are saying that now the market is going to be turned over to the Paisley mayor to run until otherwise order. Don't you think you are contravening the laws of LMA?
Thank you. I don't know what the laws of the LMA say, but that market, the vicinity falls under the jurisdiction of the Paisley City Corporation. The Paisley City Corporation is higher than that place, the leadership of whosoever you spoke to. Mind you, nobody is discrediting the chairperson or having the capability to run that entity. The president through lists has paid that market. The market is completed. It should not remain dormant or idle because people are not happy with each other. The market will be handed over as plans are discussed, because there have been communication, there have been discussions with the very president, the chairman you're talking about, the list, the office of the president, and the city corporation. So at some of those discussions, what was agreed upon is that the PCC or Paisley City Corporation will receive the market, will be handed over to them, and they will take it from there. So what is more important is that we should not always be a lockerhead, okay? We want to see that crisis resolved. And it cannot be resolved until the elections that most of them are waiting for. Some of the parties don't want to work with the other people. Some of them don't want to do this until elections are held. So the best thing is to be done is prudent enough that the city corporation takes management of that market. They will work with the various parties and see. Mind you, it's not a city mayor from PMZ that is going to sell in the market, right? It's the same market for which the market will pay for. So the market will be given to them, and we hope that people can find common ground for the good of the community, for the good of the people they serve, to find a decision to make progress.
Follow up.
Yeah. To move marketers from red light to the 14 commercial market, I see it to be a difficult task. What's the plain leg to have them removed from where they are now to go to the current location?
Well, one of the steps in moving them is to use your platform. Let's tell them the safety aspect of where they are now. People are in the streets, traffic is congested, right? So if we can use our platform to educate them, to tell them that you don't have to be on the road before people buy your market. You can be in a market house, people would normally buy your market. Those are from the Sargon area, that's the capital city of Negri Town, or areas that people call less fortunate, we say forfeit. What really meant for you will really be for you. If you have to sell 3 feet that day, you will still sell it. But your life comes first. If you are on the road, cars are running, other people are moving, you are impeding movement, it's not good for us. So they will be moved there, discuss where they're supposed to move, and they will move, but we need to use your platform. Tell the people about the essence of selling in the market, and the disadvantage and danger in selling on the road. If we continue to use our platforms, they will gradually understand and they will move.
Yes. Follow up, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Woody from Front Page Africa. Recently, during the President birthday celebration, he raised an issue on the health workers staying away from job, saying that it poses risks to the lives of citizens, especially those who might be at the hospital sick. But the health worker union just a couple of days ago still requesting for it hazard benefits. So what's the executive mansion position? Why is it that the government is still holding on not to give the hazard benefit of the health workers up to now?
Well, I like your question, although, but the government is not making any payment or giving hazard of pay to health workers. What is unfolding is that health workers on our law cannot be unionized. In the first place, that was wrong. But the president and the government is not looking at that. They said, well, the best way forward is to negotiate, is to dialogue, which of course is the best way possible. But really, I don't want you to say the president said it poses danger to the lives of people. That's obvious. If you were at the hospital and there is no one to attend to you, don't you think your survival is slim? What happened to somebody who had an emergency in an accident? He went to the hospital and there is no doctor. Do you think it's healthier for him? No. So, I mean, it's the clear-cut phenomenon. People
What's
know.
about the livelihood of those who provided those services?
Yeah, listen now. The government, with all the challenges, has been and always been there for the health workers. We have health workers that were redundant, that were put down, over 2,000, the government brought them home, the government is paying them. Some of the demands they are making, the government is not saying, oh, these are nonsense, we're not looking at them. No, the government is saying, let's take time to approach them. And government is addressing them one by one. But to say, sometimes it's unfair to this government, where, like, take for example the AFL. They supported and contributed and were part of the secret sectors that came up to serve when we had a pandemic. Only those that served were given this hazardous paid or were given hazardous benefit. Now the health workers are saying, whether you work or not, every one of them should be paid. So the government is saying, don't shake your head, the government is saying, let's negotiate. We will take time. And most of the demands are being met. But it's unfair, because you're a health worker, you want to sit home, I mean, the oath you took to serve your people it's totally against that. But in spite of that, government is still in conversation with them, and I think they are making progress, and progress will be made. But let call a spade a spade. Sometimes you use your platform and use the same way you use your editorials. I'm not talking about you in particular, but a lot of platforms use their editorial to say the government is wrong and the government is wrong. Fine. It's be bold to tell other entities or organizations that, I mean, the step they are taking is not good. I mean, it's not only government that you have to criticize. Criticize other entities. There is nowhere you go that health workers should be unionized. No, not at all. They are civil servants. They are serving. They fall under the Civil Servant Association of Liberia. You understand? They are serving the people. Their number one priority is not about pay. I know they need to survive, but the number one priority is to save life. So if you say you want hazard pay because of hazard pay, not even your salary or all the benefits that are becoming, right? You talk about Danny Chuck, then somebody died behind you. Will you be happy? You have a nightmare throughout. So we're just saying this, let's do the rightful things. Let's serve our country. It's everyone else's responsibility to make sure our country grows. Staying at work, our population is already small. Then that we don't go to work, I don't think it's healthy for our nation. So let's continue to dialogue. Dialogue is the best way possible, and no matter what happens, we'll remain to dialogue. But let people know exactly where we are. Okay, the step the government has taken will help some of the process. People trying to clean up the payroll. You have some people on the payroll, 3 names, 4 names. Those monies are being recommended to be used for health worker either to increase their salary, or other people who salary seems to be very low to step it up. So the government is doing everything. The government is aware as to what is unfolding.
Thank you. My name is Fafle Kamara. I work for BLPC. When the president symbolically turned on the street lights during his birthday celebration at SD Cooper Road Junction, he said that 80 communities will have light by Christmas. Have the communities been identified, and where are they? Are they just in Monrovia County?
I can tell you for sure, 95% of them are in Monrovia counties. There are several communities in and around Monrovia that do not have light because of transformer, and the president is trying to get some of them. The government is trying to get some transformers. So the SD Kubo Barrow you talk about is one of those communities. You talk about areas in Ghanasville. You talk about, I mean, most of them are centered in Monrovia. Most of the areas that don't have electricity because of transformer, you try to get some of them to get them running up. And like I said, when it comes to the streetlight issue, by November 29, we'll have streetlights from the EW Junction all the way to Duka Palace Hotel. But we hope, we are holding all factor constants, that things will be the way they are, that we will not have another outbreak of other diseases like we have this coronavirus that shocked it, store everything we have.
Okay, my name is Dennis Nipson and I report for Joy FM and Joy TV. The president has again appointed former Commerce Minister Wilson Tapper, this time at another entity. And I like to know, he was in charge of the stimulus package. The stimulus package as it stands, there are some Liberians that are agitating that they haven't gotten any benefit of the stimulus package, and it's said to have gone out of Monserrato. It has not been taking effect by some of the citizens according to them, and now the president is taking the man who is in charge of that activity to another entity. Has there been, in terms of accountability, has there been report, has there been sufficient report from the Commerce Minister that the work in which he was charged to do is finalized before the president has appointed him to another area? And you are talking about the president resuming infrastructure development. I'd like to know, how is it about the RRA highway? When will that project start in terms of the road construction? And then the overhead bridge at the ministerial complex.
I think over 4 or 5 questions that you have asked, but it's good you asked these questions. I think if my knowledge can serve and right, Honorable Wilson Tappe have served as finance before. He's an experienced woman, professor, and what have you. So, but he was not only at the Ministry of Commerce just to oversee the distribution of stimulus package. He was there as the Minister of Commerce.
Sure.
And you are aware that government is continuity. Whatever he did, wherever he stopped, the new minister will take over. And he's not being removed, as far as I'm concerned, because of lack of accountability or because what he was doing was completed. I think it was just part of normal reshuffle that the president did. The president feels that maybe it would be far better than better at the EPA than there, or for some obvious reason, the president believes that a reshuffle is very, very important in energizing or stimulating the government people to perform better. So his movement has nothing to do with lack of accountability or proper accountability. It was just part of a normal reshuffle procedure. So wherever he stopped, the new minister will take over from there. This is why before you leave from one place to another, you do a proper handover. And those that are working with him are there. So by virtue of the new minister coming in, she takes over from him immediately, and she will follow up those process if she goes through the routine process to become a proper minister. That is, if she has to go for a hearing, after the hearing she resumes. But he has deputies, the ministry remain there, the ministry has the record. You are only there because you're a minister, but he's not there because he was wasting time. So whosoever minister take over, fine. I said that next week the RRA highway will resume, work there will resume. You know, things got stopped because of this pandemic. So I know before the pandemic came, the government was trying to compensate those who were along the way. Some of them that were compensated, their structure was already broken down, and that process is going to continue. So it starts. Like we told you initially, it will be done in 3 phases. Okay, from the RRA way to the bridge, from the bridge, then you escape a little bit before you can come to ELW junction. So the process will start. I can't tell you exactly when it will be completed because we are looking at the process to be like for 2 years. But with things happening now, maybe depending on the availability of resources and other factors, we may still be on course, but the process will start. I think the next question, you say what was it?
Overhead bridge.
Yeah, the overhead bridge. Things are on course to resume, but the government cannot start until all of those people that are there are being compensated. And I'm told the compensation started before the outbreak. I can't say that for sure how many persons have left or half of them have gone. But money for the construction of that bridge is ready. The only thing, this is a bilateral project. The government of Liberia is to compensate those people along the aisle, and then the Chinese government will come to carry out the construction. They have the money secured. It's not the Liberian government that's going to do that. So we need money. This is why war is not good. Pandemic is not good. The disease has stopped a lot of things. Resources have to shift here and there. So this is why. But money to start and complete the project is 100% ready. The only thing we are looking for, and some of you who can afford, you can have the government to rally and give us some money. I mean, the citizens have the responsibility too. We can all make contributions. We can all rally. We saw here people going in the street to raise money.
Are you serious about that statement you're making?
We saw here that in past government, people going in the street to raise money to support the national team. You can also raise money to support the construction or development of any project in your community. I will, as an individual, if I have money and I feel the road to my house is not good, I can rather and raise money. People do that in the community. They raise money, they buy a transformer, and they do things. So contributing towards the construction of any major road by a citizen is laudable.
Yeah.
No.
Thank you, Ellis, for your recommendation. My concern has to do with the Pastor saga. What is the president's response in this whole passport saga since his alleged involvement?
Well, the issue of the press saga is, passport saga is kind of Yes, sir.
So viewers, we
Yeah, so,
stay there and
the press conference will continue as soon as the press secretary returns. He's receiving the call from the IO.
the press secretary told us to receive a call from the president. His conference.
Well, sorry, we have some urgent call that I have to take, but I'm happy to be back. I hope you forgive me. So basically, there where we are, I don't want to say, I mean, there is something actually wrong with Mr. Wamplo, but I think you, the journalists who are listening to him, don't just be there to receive what he says, be able to quiz and question him. You serve as passport director. Where is the integrity in the allegation you are making? When you were passport director and your citizen that you are serving went for the passport that should be for $50 ordinary passport, then you said somebody told you to only serve express. You didn't raise alarm, you didn't resign. Then you said the people are corrupt, you don't want to be with them. But I know Amber went to school, Andrew Rada went to school, Andrew want to have classmates. I understand it was because of him at the Lutheran school here that traffic was black, that Chancellor had to send ATU because he could not account for student council government, yet he was not corrupt. And they have ATU has to go for him. But he said his hands are clean, he has never been. So let me tell you this. The president empower people, he does not meddle into the business side of the government. All he knows, he wanted to go straight. Like I said on previous media and other platforms, it was the president who gave the tip off to the security people to apprehend him. If the president had dirty deeds, we have done that. Said 300,000 every week. Imagine. I just hope we all pray for our citizens that, I mean, when we are doing things, we do it properly. He had a responsibility, he had the time to have come up to have a press conference. He didn't do that. He didn't resign. He didn't make these allegations until now. If he went to the police station or wherever he went first to make statement, if you see this allegation in any of the statements, then you take it for granted. Why now? Is it because America said no, don't go to our country any longer? So let us be real. When the president appointed you, he gave you that power to operate. All he has to do to advise, to say this. The president does not make decisions. And let me tell you something. When it comes to the issues of diplomatic passports, previous government before the president can have 46 honorary consuls. All of them represent the country, so they were entitled to diplomatic passports. Citizens, ordinary citizens, entitled to ordinary passports. Those working in government at some level are entitled to service passports. All of these passports are paid for, and they are not paid for in the covers of the president. You pay through the LRA, bring your receipt, and the passport people issue your passport. So the president has nothing to do with this. If Ambrose has evidence to say exactly what he's saying, why don't he evade himself to the court? The court is there. Produce your evidence. But I don't want people to hide behind, oh, because we have freedom of expression, or because we want to win people's sentiments, then we sit back and say all sort of things. It's not big. People are not being fair to this government. They are not being fair to this president. This president only appointed 20 by recommendation of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, 20. And if anybody has anything against any of the honorary council, if you raise it, the government reserves the right. Who can serve an honorary council? It's not necessarily a Liberian citizen. No, you must be a resident of that country, and you should have the responsibility of that particular office you run. So it helps the government to save money. So all the areas we have honorary council, those people are entitled to diplomatic passport because you cannot represent a country and you don't have anything to back it up.
So,
Two questions. Two questions.
just a follow-up.
Yeah, just
Two
a
questions,
follow-up.
please.
Follow-up, please.
Two questions, please.
Yeah, a follow-up. A follow-up.
Follow-up.
Hot pepper.
A follow-up.
Hot pepper.
A follow-up, please.
Hot pepper.
Yeah, Mr. President, he said that one of the president wishes is for put a campaign in the African community for the pending referendum. I would like to know what is the government's plan for the pending referendum. And number two, is it constitutional for the president to place a photo on a banner to campaign for the pending referendum? Is it constitutional?
Well, the way you saw was not placed there by the president. You here as an individual, sometimes you have used the president portrait before on your Facebook page. Does he give you permission? Now, the government is the government. Everybody, for me, when it's time to campaign for the referendum, I can tell people what the referendum is all about. When we say the president is interested for us to educate or sensitize the people, most people all they know December is only senatorial elections that are coming. They don't know the proposition. You have to tell them, because if you do not provide the education, they do not make any informed decision. The president is not saying, don't vote for this or vote for this, but he has the right to tell you what he wants you to vote for. But let's use our platform to educate our people. We should not only talk about Soroke want to become senator in Sino, because that's where I come from. But let's tell people all the things that will be happening there. Because if they don't know, they will not make that decision. And when few persons make the decision, people will have problems because they will say they are not informed enough. So let's use our platform to tell the people, yes, there will be a referendum alongside the senatorial or the midterm elections. That's what we are talking about. So if people believe in the ideology of the president, or the people believe the president is famous, is popular, to have certain things going for them, they want to use the president portrait, they go and use that. But it was not a president who, you saw the president digging people to pull a vehicle. So you said a minister, you saw a minister.
Follow to a question.
Okay.
Next question, please.
So,
Go for air.
so what I'm saying, there's nothing wrong using your platform to tell people that we'll have referendum alongside the midterm elections. It's part of your responsibility as a journalist. It's part of your responsibility to educate our people. Because the more you tell them about what will happen, they will be informed and they will be able to make better decisions for better Liberia.
The last question will come from Lina.
We
The
are
last
asking
question
the
will come from
president
Lina.
to hold to plant those flyers around. Does it mean that those flyers around did not meet government approval?
Your question, I will answer everything together.
My name is Justice Clark, and I work for the Liberian News Agency. Earlier this year, this country was struck by COVID-19, which paralyzed government activities, schools, jobs, and all of that. And we were talking about infrastructure development being underway to be resumed. What is Executive Marshal's own view about the current state of COVID-19 in Liberia? And secondly, the president was on the verge of engaging in a county tour prior to COVID-19. So could you tell us what's coming forth relative to the tour?
Well, basically, I think we are planning for a new country tour because this year is out of the question. Everybody knows the entire world was hit by the pandemic and a lot of things were paralyzed. I normally use this parable. It's not because my mother is dead, so I should go suck the breast of a baboon. COVID has hit her, our cases have subsided. We have to go back to do those things gradually. We're not saying we are going to do it 100%, that everybody will be crowded, there will be no room for social distancing. But we cannot perpetually stay at home and leave everything in limbo. The little we can do, we'll do it one by one. And this is why the president sees it necessary that we can do these things little by little, so that when this pandemic is finally over, we'll not have to scratch from zero. At least we would have been somewhere else. That's the essence of it. So the country tour, you remember when we talk about things being, the recast in the budget, some of the monies that were allotted for the country tour were rediverted to other projects. So for the new country tour, we have to wait for the next dry season. even the weather condition is not feasible enough. But good for you. I'm sure maybe you want to go back to Zedru Grandy there, because that's one of the areas we'll go to. I myself would love to go to Sando if possible, reach to Numapo where I come from. But such is the time, such is the condition we find ourselves in. We will not be able to do everything as a whole. But if you want to leave Monrovia, the president will be going to Cape Town to dedicate 2 bridges there. We can take it out of Monrovia for a little bit. Yes, and then it's not just about dedicating the bridges. I think there will be some
The current
interactions there.
status of COVID.
I just told you our cases have subsided. The latest report I saw, I think we have under 100 active cases, which is something good. And I think you asked the question because you also want to encourage our people to continue to play safe, which is good. I'm at 6 feet away from your microphone. This is why I'm not wearing masks. Some of you are wearing masks, which is good, but we should continue to tell our people that COVID is still around, and that's why the president always preaches. If you see him gathering, he's wearing masks, he's leading by example, and we all should be able to do that. There was a question. Was it Saros or
Anthony.
Anthony.
Yes.
His question was, is it constitutional to have the president photo on a particular flyer campaigning for the referendum? You said the president was not seen taking to play.
No. The questions, the billboards in questions were not erected by the president.
Yes.
There were people who believe using the president portrait would get people on their side to vote for what they want in a referendum. But they were not sanctioned by the president. But equally so, the president is not against that, if that to educate the people in making a decision. But they were not put there by the president. The president did not order anybody to put in there. I wasn't there. I didn't see any of my ministers. But there are groups who people have. For example, there was a program that was held recently. It said Movement for the Re-election of George Weah. He didn't organize a group of people who want to be re-elected, right? For example, Charles Coffey. Charles Coffey did not set up a splinter group within a PR, affiliate organization, right? You have SWA, but people who believe and they use a PR local, Coffey will say no. Coffey want to get there, maybe they do something wrong.
Those are auxiliaries.
Oh, they are auxiliaries. Yeah. So we talk about the usage of the portrait. I can use. I didn't see anywhere in the Constitution that say president portrait should be used here or should not be used there. Which part of the Constitution does that breach? Maybe you know better. I'm getting old and something I forget.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That ends the press conference.
So, gentlemen,
Saga, I want to come in. Follow up.
Gentlemen, thank you for coming.